All right, so we're a little bit after 4 o'clock now, and so in the interest of time, I'm going to get started. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of today. If I talk too fast, feel free to tell me to slow down because I can get excited, as you all know. Today, I have two key topics that we're covering. The first one is useful web tools. Some of these I've only just found out about myself, and I'm that excited that I just wanted to share them. And also, as requested, some basic Excel tools as well. So I have a presentation for you. I am going to share my screen, and I'm going to share this one. And it's obviously put in my WhatsApp because that's what I was doing. All right. So jumping right in, I also get to show you all the really fun tools that I've been learning myself. So today we are doing tips for web tools and Excel graphs. Now check this out. Ooh, I can slide it to the right now. So in Chrome, we're going to be focusing on the ways that you can organize your work and keep yourself focused and on task. And for Excel, we're going to be looking at how you can present your data in a professional way in the workplace. So we're going to start first with the web tools, and we're going to start with how we're using our tabs. Now, can I ask a quick question? How many of you have accidentally closed a tab and freaked out because it's gone?
Yeah, probably.
Yep. It's too easy to do, right? So you've got all of your tabs open, you want to start closing them because there's too many, and then you lose something and you're just wondering where it is. Does anybody want to know how to get them back? I'm going to take that as a resounding yes, because it's really frustrating when you shut things down. Thank you, Krish. Do you want to say something, or are you just agreeing?
Just agreeing.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So that's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the history menu and how we can recover things that we've closed. The second thing we're going to do is learn how to search among our tabs. So many of us, we have too many things open, as I said before. I'm taking 4 different courses, plus I've got my hobbies, interests, plus I've got, my email open, my WhatsApp open, and everything. So by the time you've got everything that you're working on, you've got a whole lot of windows and a whole lot of tabs, and you lose things. And what you can do is you can search these tabs. So I'm going to show you how to find things that you've already got open. And then I'm going to show you how to pin the things that matter so that you don't lose them. And now I get to show you fancy things again. Look at that. We can highlight the first thing we're doing and change screens. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this history. And we can find it, first of all, if you close one tab, there is a quick key, which is Control-Shift-T to reopen the last tab you closed, but I can never remember this. So for me personally, I just do the long form, which is going through to the 3 dots on the upper right-hand side, going down to the history section. And then as you can see, all of the things are there. We've got our recently closed tabs here. And you'll notice the ones that say 10 tabs or even 18 tabs. These are my windows that I've closed recently. And this lets me go back to a whole window that's been closed. So especially if I need to shut down my laptop, if I've had updates on my computer, and I want to come back to it and I don't want to lose all the things that I've opened, I can just go back to my history and open entire windows. And if I open all 4 of these back up, I've got my studies and I've got my personal things that I'm working on. And so that last one that I just showed you there, where this one's highlighted, this 10 tabs here, if I restore this window, you can see it's got a dashboard, it's got some groups here. If I click on this, it opens up this, which is exactly what we're doing right now. This is my assignment, planning and implementing this online event. So just by clicking on that in my history, you can see that I got my whole window back. It's got all of these tabs open. So, was that clear? Need to change how I'm looking at you guys so that I can see nodding. Thank you.
That's my thumbs up.
Yeah, so it's really easy to find things that you recently looked at, and especially if you've just closed something by accident. So the next function is one that I've just discovered recently. which is how to search your current tabs that are open. So for this one, you use this button here. So you see this is my Google screen. This little downward arrow, how many of you have ever actually clicked on that arrow? Because I'd never clicked on it before. It's just that arrow sitting at the top of my browser.
Not me either.
Nah, I mean, I never knew what it did, so I never clicked it. But if you do click on it, what it does is bring up this list of all your tabs that are open, and it's got a search at the top. So rather than clicking through all the tabs on all your browsers, this is a new window, as you can see. This is a Google window that I've opened. And by clicking that downward arrow, I can see things that are open in all my other windows. So I can actually search all my open tabs and all my open windows. And if I type into the search tab, because I knew that I'd been looking at flowers lately, and you all know that I'm an avid gardener. You know, I love my garden, I love my flowers. So I was looking at some perennial type flowers for the garden, and I knew they were in here somewhere. So I just started typing PERE, and sure enough, it popped up. And that opened up this article that I'd been reading. Really, really fun article for me personally, but I just thought it was a really good example. So you can see that it's open in its own window. Oh, could I just ask if you could just mute your mic? Just while, yeah, thank you. Just I can hear myself, so thank you. So this is in its own window and it's just hanging there, so no wonder I couldn't find it. So what I want to do is just merge this onto another window that would make sense to me, and I've merged it onto, so I just click on the tab and drag it over to a different window that I want it on, and it just merges onto that window, right? So I've used the search tab, found it, I've put it somewhere else. Now the next question is, what do we do with important items? Does anybody currently use the pin function? Nah. The pin function just allows you to keep something always at the start of your window. So if you're opening a window and you're going to be opening a lot of things, you might want to keep your email open at the front. You might want to keep your WhatsApp open at the front, just the things that you're regularly going to be going back to all day, every day. In this particular example, I'm just showing you now, is you right click on the tab and your menu comes up that you're pretty used to, and here's the pin button here. So just by clicking on that pin button, it moves the tab over to the left-hand side. Now it's always going to be there. No matter what other tabs I open, that's always going to be there. So I might do that again with anything that's really important that I want to see every day. Cool. So that's my information on tabs. Does anybody have any questions or any feedback just at this stage? Everyone's happy? Cool. I see nodding. That's excellent. All right. I will continue. So the next thing we're going to do is talk about bookmarks. Now, I love bookmarks. Bookmarks save me so much time, and especially when my web is slow, it saves me having to go through multiple pages. So what we're going to talk about in terms of bookmarks is saving our frequently visited sites so that we can access them easily, how to organize them into folders and subfolders, and how to find them on your bar. So if we go back to our gardening page, you can see up on the right top corner there that there's a little star. And if we click on the star, this is our bookmark button. And then we have the option of, we can change the name of it, but leaving it as the name of the website is perfectly good. And if we click on this folder bar here, and we make sure that it goes into the bookmark bar, this is the easiest way to find the most important things that you work on. So you can bookmark the homepage of each one of the projects that you're working on, each one of the homepages of each one of the courses that you're working on, or anything like that. And if you've got it in your bookmark bar, just down here, then next time you open up a Google window, it will be perfectly accessible just under the search bar. And so as you can see here, I've got my email here, and then I've also got my flowers now. So when I was working at Fairtrade with all of you guys, I had my Women's School of Leadership for Timor-Leste, my Gender School of Leadership for Papua New Guinea, and then my various other thematic area projects, et cetera, et cetera. So I could just go straight to each of my projects just from here. I didn't have to search through all of SharePoint to find them every day. It makes it so much easier and you save so much time. But if you want to be really organized and you want to have multiple additional pages saved, instead of filling up that bar with pages, you can put them into folders. So if you want to do that, you go back to this, you press the star button, and then when you open the folder, you select choose another folder. So you're going to decide where you're going to put it. And this will pop up. And you see I've decided to put it in other bookmarks because I'm not putting it on my bookmark bar. It's not related to my mobile bookmarks, which is what my phone is doing. So I'm putting it in other bookmarks and I'm creating a new folder here. And I decided to call it Gardening 2023. And I saved it. And now this means that if I'm going to put a lot of other things in Gardening 2023, like I might decide that I actually want to look at vine plants or I want to look at new potting methods, I can keep all of those different pages together in Gardening 2023 and go look at them all at once. And you do that by looking at the All Bookmarks button over here. So it's really easy to go back to all of the pages that are really important to you and save yourself a lot of extra Googling and searching time. So those were our key points there. How do you all feel? I know that I am bombarding you. I have a tendency to do that, but I see nodding and smiles, so this is great. All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is tab management. And this is something else that I've discovered recently and found it really, really useful. So what we're going to do is look at the ways that we can organize what we're working on into groups. So we're going to use the tab group feature to organize our projects. It's very easy to use. It's just a right click and select, and I'll show you exactly where that is. There's two different ways to add tabs to the group, and I'm going to show you this. So this is just the overview slide. Remember, I am recording this, so you will be able to go back and review this when I do go too fast. But as I've been clicking through, some of you may have noticed these colored dots here. Did those stand out to anybody? Nah, it's okay, eh? Because now that you've seen them, you can't miss them. So what these dots here are my groups. So I'm actually going to exit this slideshow that I've got, and I'm just going to show this one to you in person down here. So this is my page. You can see these dots again. I've got my bar at the top. So these are groups. I have all of these tabs are in this blue group. You can see this blue line across the bottom. And these tabs here are in the green group, and you can see this tab along the bottom. And the lovely feature about this is that I can collapse these and make my window a lot tidier. So if I have multiple projects open, so I do, these are two different papers that I'm working on, I can have all of them open and it can feel overwhelming, or I can collapse them down and then only open the one that I'm working on and have less busyness on my screen. So it also helps to keep things together. So like I can choose to create a new window just with this particular group, and it'll move all of my tabs across. The same if I did this other one, I can say open into a new window, and they'll all just pull out the related tabs that are in this particular window set, this group, I mean. So there's two different ways to do this. If I want to add one to a group, I just right click on the tab, and I have the option of moving it straight into either one of these tabs that are already open. So I could say that this is actually, yep, it's assignment 2 for facilitating online communities. And so I can add it into this group. And so now it's automatically placed it with the other tabs that are related to it. And again, it's collapsible or expandable. And the other thing that you can do is if I wanted to say that I was, if I wanted to open up my perennials again, I can also click and drag, and now it's in the group. And so that's the two different ways that you can add tabs into the group. You can either click them and drag them in yourself, or you can right click them and add them into a group. You can switch them between groups as well. You see, I decided actually the perennials belonged over in this group better. So it's a flexible way of keeping all of your relevant content together. So I've opened up your faces again because I'm on my laptop, so I can only look at one thing at once. So I'm just looking at you all again. How are you feeling? Can I get a little bit of feedback here? I can see nodding. That's really good. I can see smiling. I can see thumbs up. Wonderful. Okay. I know I'm bombarding you with a lot of information. If you do have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand, your digital hand, because that's the one I'm going to see, or just unmute yourself and call out. Hi, G, what would you like to say?
So Amy, what's maybe the simplest question? What's the difference between the pin, to pin something and then to bookmark it?
Right. So when you pin something, so over here, this is pinned. This just means that I can't move it to a different place within the window, so I can't lose it. So like on this one, if I move this over to this window, because it's pinned, I can't move it somewhere else, and this means that I'm not going to lose it within the window. I can also move it to a different window and lose it that way. But as long as it's in this window, it'll stay to the left, and I will always be able to find it to the left. Bookmarking something means that if you open a new tab, you have immediate access to it, so you don't have to use the search bar.
And what this to pin stuff and to bookmark stuff, do they get to disappear when, for example, you start to computer?
Yes, so if you close that window down, and I'll just show you. I'll just pull it up again. Can't access my start bar right now. Just a second. If I move that down there and move that up there, I should be able to, there we go, got it. Okay, so if I grab my window with my perennials, so that's this one here. If I close this, so it's gone now, whoops, didn't mean to do that. I can go back to my history. I can go back to this one that's just been closed. And if I restore this window, then you can see that it's still pinned. So you're not going to lose the pin if you restore the window. And personally, if I have to restart my computer, I close all the windows as whole windows, restart my computer, and then I use that recent tabs to get them back so that I don't have to lose my work. So that's how I keep everything open, even when I need to restart my computer. So the pinned ones will stay pinned in the window that they're in. And you can keep that window running as long as you keep using your recent tabs. But the bookmark will always be there if you're starting fresh.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions at this point? Cool. Great. I will go back to my slideshow and we're up to here. Cool. So now we're going to save web pages to PDF. Can anybody tell me why you'd want to save a page to a PDF?
Sorry, say it again.
Why would you want to save a web page to a PDF?
It makes it easier for everyone to read it.
It does, it does. When you save a web page to a PDF, it takes away all the advertising, so you're just looking at the core content, but also it means that it can never be changed. So if you save, Bobby, you're muted.
You can use it in offline version too.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just save it into your tablet or ebook and read it as an article.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so when it's a PDF, you can access it offline because you have it saved on your computer. And also the website, even if the website gets updated, even if the link gets broken, even if there's a server crash, you still have access to it because you've taken it offline. You've taken it offline at that point in time. I actually had an interesting situation when I was doing my master's that the newspaper that was writing about the sugar industry in Fiji kept changing their articles. And so if I went back to the articles, they would have different information. So I found it really useful to save them as PDFs, and then I could see the changes over time as well online. So I'll just show you how to do that. So if I go back to my perennials, if I want to save it as a PDF, I go up to these three little dots up here again. And this time I go to print. So even though we often talk about saving, we want to save this article, we're actually printing it because PDF stands for published document format. So it's a form of publishing, which is printing. So when we click print, it comes up to the print preview. And you want to scroll down the print preview. And here we see that I have the pretty flowers coming up, but now I'm getting this little image here saying that it hasn't downloaded the image because my computer didn't need to download the image ahead of time. But I want the images in my PDF. So if I cancel this print and I get rid of that ad and I scroll down, as I scroll, my computer will download the photos to show them to me. This might take a little bit longer if my internet's, acting up on any given day. And now, if I click the three dots again and go back to print, when I scroll down on the preview, the photos will be here. So you want to make sure that your computer has downloaded the content before you print, just to make sure that you're getting everything. And then, yes, I want to print it to PDF. And then I'm going to click print, and it's going to ask me where to put it. So I'm going to put it in, and yes, boss, I did use ChatGPT to help me prepare this, but I didn't do any cheating, as you know. So if I say I want to click my flowers article, I'll just call it that. Yeah, so now I have this saved as a flowers article on my device. And now there's an error just because it just wants to be mean to me. Here we go. I saved it. Here's one I saved earlier. So now I have this on my device, and you can see that all of the advertising content that was on the screen before is gone. I have the beautiful flowers, and I have all of the text. And now that it's a PDF, I can send it to anybody. I can email it to all of you. And I can save it in my work folders. So if a news article came up about a group that I was working with, I could then save it into my work folder about that group that I'm working with, so that we always have it on file. So it's a really useful tool. How's everyone doing? Cool. So this is the end of my web tools section. So this is actually a good point just to check in before we move on, because we are going to move on to the Excel tools in a minute, because we are about halfway through, which, looking at the time, is working out great. So does anyone have any other questions about the web tools that they have at the moment? I'm going to take that as a no, and you are all becoming incredibly proficient at using Microsoft Chrome. And you're all loving my slideshow. Lovely. So I will move on to the Excel tools. And I get to show you one more beautiful transition on my slideshow. Ooh, lovely. How to create tables and graphs in Excel. So in Excel, we're going to look at the way that you organize your data into tables, to turn those tables into graphs. and how to format tables and graphs, which is all very useful things to have. So I have sent some of you, I've sent most of you an Excel spreadsheet, but I will just put it in the chat now for everybody else who doesn't yet have it. So I will open up my chat and I will, probably shouldn't do this with my screen being shared, but anyway. Trying to click and drag and copy it over. Yeah, I sent it in advance to my overseas colleagues so that they could download it. What's going on with my computer right now? Sorry, technical difficulties. 1 second. Trying really hard to get it at that copy spot. Can you guys see that I'm like trying to copy it and it's just refusing? I'm going to open the floor to other expertise. Does anybody have a suggestion on how to copy this file across? No, we're going to go with plan B. Those of you who have the file, feel free to open it and follow along. The rest of you, I'm just going to do it on the screen and you can see it. And then if you have any questions, we'll answer those as we go. Right, yeah, so Excel crashed, that's what the problem was. Okay, so I noticed we have a new person joining, so welcome to the tutorial. We've just finished the section on web tools and we're just about to go into some Excel skills. So I had a request that we could go over some ways to turn data into graphs. And so I've created this little worksheet for everyone that we'll work through together. But you can stop me at any time and I'll make sure that everybody has a copy of this at the end if you want to do it again. So the first thing we're going to do is look at some data. This is just some basic data. This is what I use ChatGPT for. I said, ChatGPT, can you give me some data about fruit that I can turn into a short tutorial for my friends? And it very kindly gave me this information. Now, that data is not very pretty to me. We've got the columns are overlapping each other. We've got vitamin C hanging off the end at the right there. I see this and it doesn't actually tell me anything because it's just black and white and it's pretty boring. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to highlight this. We want to use this format button up here and we want to auto fit the column width. And so the first thing that does for us is it tidies up the data. Just immediately that looks better. It looks tidier. It looks easier to read. Immediately we've got a better table. And so the next thing we're going to do, this is the same information, by the way. Each tab has additional information on it. So the first thing we did was we auto fit the column widths. Now we're going to turn this into an actual table. So we highlight the data again. And then we have this button up here that says format as a table. And when we click this, it gives us so many options that we kind of freak out and think, what could I possibly choose? Personally, this is my favorite. It'll pop up with the highlighted section. Make sure that the My Table has headers option is clicked. And then look at that. It immediately turns it into a table that you can see the rows. You can see all the columns. Hi, G.
No, it's fine. I could not see that you were sharing your screen, but it's working now, so thank you.
Oh, good. Yeah, sorry, there was a glitch a little while ago. I think my computer did something. So did you see did you see the first page here? when we highlight the data. Okay, cool. So now we're up to the second page. I've turned it into this table. You can see that the rows now have blue and white, which makes it easier to read across the rows so we don't get lost in the data while we're reading this. And now that it's been turned into a table, all of the columns have these little downward arrows. And this all lets us filter the data. So if and I'm following the instructions that I've put down here for you, if I click the drop down arrow on fruit and I want to compare apples and oranges, because don't we all, you can see that it takes away the other rows and lets us just compare these two. So by turning our data into a table and having these filterable columns, it makes it much easier for us to then decide what information we want to look at. So we have all the other information, but today we're just comparing apples and oranges. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is that these columns that have numbers, if I were to say the quantity sold, I might not want to take away these numbers. Like I want to see all the quantities that we sold across all the fruit. So we've got our apples, bananas, oranges. We want to see it all, but we want to know what the highest seller was. So in this one, we use the drop down and we say largest to smallest. So now we know that we mostly sold bananas, which is definitely true in New Zealand. We eat so many bananas. And then apples, again, that's so true in New Zealand. This definitely looks like a New Zealand market to me. And similarly, if we wanted to see which fruit had the least calories, we might then want to sort from smallest to largest and say, oh yeah, strawberries are really healthy per 100 grams. So this is the benefit of the table, is you can choose what you want to look at and you can reorganize it from lowest to highest and highest to lowest, depending on what point you're trying to get across. But remember to always, you have the option of, yeah, that's fine. Anyway. Yep, so we sorted from smallest to largest and largest to smallest, and this lets you rank the information. So what I'm showing you, it's all written down here as well. So when I make sure that everyone has the worksheet at the end, you can do it as well yourselves. So the next thing is you want a pretty graph, right? Like you don't just want to be sending the table to your boss and telling your boss to do the filters. So we're going to make some graphs. So once again, if we're going to make a graph with all of the information, we just highlight it all again, and then we go to insert. So this insert button up here takes us to the graphs. And Excel has this wonderful option where if you ask it what graphs it would recommend, it chooses the best graphs for the types of information that you're presenting. So I'm just going to put in a column graph because we're all used to seeing those. And I'll just move it off to the side here. Oh yes, also I skipped a step, but if you do this and you go insert and you recommend the charts, there's an explanation under each one about what this chart would be best for. So this clustered column chart is used to compare values across several categories, but you can also see that each one of these has a comparison. So if you want to read about what each chart does to find the one that suits you best in the circumstances, then that's where you find it. Is everybody with me so far? Okay, cool. Can I get a couple more thumbs up from the cameras that are off? Hi, Liz. Hi, Liz. Oh, that's it.
Amy, the screen sharing is not moving.
Ah, okay. I'm gonna ask the rest of you with your cameras on to maybe turn your cameras off, and we'll see if that helps the connection issue. Thank you. I will also turn my camera off. Gabriel, how's it now?
Try proceed and we see whether there's any changes.
All right. When did it freeze for you?
I had only seen the how to create a table, and after that it remained on that screen.
Ah,
And
okay.
for the rest of your other explanations, your voice was not, the action is not happening with the voice.
I see. And what's on your screen now?
Now I can see the, I think you're trying to insert chart.
Ah, okay. So it's still a little bit behind.
Mm.
Is anybody else having this
I
issue?
think no, in Aotearoa it works well. So
Mhm.
probably there is a problem with connection in other
Yeah.
countries.
Okay.
So
Cool.
so
Well,
Amy, if the
go ahead, G.
recording, we should continue
Yes. Yeah.
in the best interest of time and everyone else.
Certainly. I will continue, and I will make sure that you have all the resources at the end. So I am recording this, and I will make sure that you get the recording. And I know that I already sent you actually, Gabriel, I already sent you the Excel sheet. So if you open it, then you can follow along with what I'm saying, but just on the sheet on your computer. It's in the WhatsApp group chat. All right, well, I will continue. So we've made this graph. And what you can see is that if we use these filters that I talked about before, they're actually going to impact the chart here, the graph here. So if I go back and I just want to compare apples and oranges again, then when I click that, the chart actually changes to just show me the information on the graph. So by making the information into a table before we turn it into a graph, it actually gives us quite a bit of control over this data. So again, I can put that back to the full thing. And at the moment, it's got the quantity sold. Yeah, so if I wanted to change, if I wanted to make the quantity sold smallest to largest, you'll see that it also changes that on the chart. But this chart is quite confusing, right? Like there's a lot of columns here, there's a lot of colors. If I sent this to my boss, they'd probably just put it in the bin because it's something they don't even want to think about. But if we want to make a simpler chart, we can just take some of this information. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just highlight the fruit column. I'm going to hold down the control button on my keyboard and highlight one other column. So in this case, the quantity sold. And then I'm going to go to recommended chart. And now it's going to offer me different charts because I'm trying to present a different kind of information. So because it's a much more simple information, it's suggesting that a pie chart would be a great way to compare the quantities. So if I then make this pie chart, it's a much simpler chart. And we've got our color scheme at the bottom. So we've got our strawberries. It's mixed it. Yeah, so we've got our strawberries here, our mangoes, oranges, apples, and bananas. Right, and the last thing we want to do, and this is change the title. So all you have to do is click on it up here, and you can put in whatever you like, and you can say favorite fruits, or whatever you want to call it. Click enter, not click enter, click anywhere else on the screen, and it'll put that in for you. So since we're actually still within the hour, I thought we might run out of time, but I'm really happy that because we're still on time, I can show you this last tab over here, which I called Fancy Extras, which is all about formatting. And formatting is where a lot of the fun is, isn't it, really? So I've copied our same table across again, and this time I'm going to use the conditional formatting tab up here. And when I click this, I have a lot of different options, but what we're going to start with is these data bars. Now, my chart is blue, so I'm going to use yellow just because it's a contrasting color. So by clicking data bars, we can now visually see the information within this table. So we can see visually how much bigger the banana sales are compared to the strawberry sales, just visually, just by looking at it. Or similarly, if we want to use the conditional formatting again, we can use color scales. And because all of these different columns actually have very different types of numbers, these colors don't mean anything to me. Like it's just colorful. But if I want to just take, for example, this one column and put the color formatting on, let me just take the data off. Just take the data bars off. By the way, yeah, if you go back to the data bars and you just click on it again, no, that didn't work. Let's go back. Okay, so if I highlight it and use my color scales just on this one column, you can see that it's saying that dark green is really good. So bananas have had really good sales, whereas strawberries 50 was a really low sale. So if I look at this graph, I can see straight away that the bananas are doing really well and the strawberries are not doing very well. So the bar formatting and the color formatting are just visually ways that you can have data in your table rather than having a graph. And depending on what you're working on, it might be more useful. So I just wanted to show it to you. Okay. And now here's some formatting for the graphs. Let's see, filter the graph. So the first thing is that when you click on the graph, you've got these buttons over here. And I already showed you how interacting with the table can change the graph. But this way is another way that you can choose to compare apples and oranges. And when you click apply, it'll change that data within the graph. So this is another way that you can filter it and make it really easy for you here rather than trying to find it all on the table. Because when you get really big tables, there's just a lot going on there and it can just get really confusing. And the next thing is you also can change the style. And so if you click on this paintbrush over here, changing the style, you can choose some really cool styles, like there's the dark background one. You can change the color scheme that it's using. And what's really great is some of these other ones actually include the numbers directly on the graph. So at the moment, like if I look at my quantity sold on the second graph, there's no numbers here, which can make it really confusing. But if I go to the style, I can choose to have those numbers directly inserted into the graph. Cool. All right, I'm just going to put my camera back on because we're really close to the end. In fact, we're so close to the end that my PowerPoint presentation has crashed. But the last screen on my PowerPoint presentation is just to say thank you all for coming again. Like, I really appreciate the support, and it's really nice to see you all again. And I hope that this has been useful. We've got about 5 more minutes, so I'd really love to hear from you if this was useful, if this was engaging. If you don't say anything, I'll just assume that you fell asleep and it was boring. So the
Amy.
So the purpose of this event here, from my perspective, from my lecturer's perspective, is to show that I've learned how to be engaging in an online environment, to support other people to learn and create a positive environment where people can interact with each other, they interact with me, and they interact well with the content. So I guess my first question is, was this an engaging training session for you? Yay, thank you, Barbara. I see how strongly you're nodding. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, Krishan, I'm so great that I was able to teach you a few new skills. Like, to have my e-learning lecturer tell me that I've taught new skills, that's very cool.
Amy. Yes, Amy, thank you. I think the grouping thing, I found it very interesting because I usually have multiple tabs open and it's crazy to manage them.
Yes.
So that's one of the things I will definitely start grouping them. which will be really handy. So thanks.
Excellent. I'm really happy to hear that. And did you feel that this was a safe and welcoming environment?
Yes.
Yeah, but that was also because of your hard work and preparation. You informed the participants in advance. You communicated with them in a like closed WhatsApp group, also via email. So we didn't need to do anything else. It was safe enough. And I have a question related to promotion or marketing. I got an email from you. Was it like automatic email for all the students within the course, or you have to find email addresses or ask Krishan to forward it?
Yeah, I sent the information to Krishan and asked him to forward it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my other colleagues I've been talking to in WhatsApp. Yes.
Perfect. Thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Mana Amy.
Hi, Mana Jacinta. It's good to hear your voice.
Yes, thank you, Mana, for inviting us for this training. So I'm here with my youth group. So we around 7 people here participate this training. So excited, but we are difficult because internet connection, and also some member here is difficult because in English. Maybe next time we propose for Mana you providing in Tetun.
Diak Mana Karika Timpu Oin Belly. Karik Ma Nesta Belly Hello Introduction.
Yeah, so Monester will help for translate.
Diak Kalaiman.
Thank you, Mana.
Thank you, Mana. Well, I have been recording this session. I'm also hoping to make a short video out of the content. So I'll make sure that the things, that all the resources are available to you, and maybe you could help me with that translation for the next time. Great. We're actually completing just 3 minutes before time, so I feel pretty good about that I haven't taken any more of your Fridays. Is there any other comments that anybody would like to make?
Hi. There was a lot of things to take in, but there was a lot of learning, and now I know I can go and have a go at making some graphs. And also I learned about the bookmarking and the pinning, so that was all new. So
that's a lot of learning. Excellent. And
Yeah.
I know that I do talk a bit fast and that I do get a bit excited about these things, but there's a lot of information. And if you do need any review, I will send you the resources, but you're also always welcome to come and contact me, all of you. You know, I'm always open for questions. Great. Krishan, would you like to say anything before we go?
All good, Amy. Well done. It was a great event. So
thank you so much.
Very well planned and delivered. So well done.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to wave goodbye now. Thank you all for coming. You're all just wonderful people, and I just appreciate the support. And I know you all learned. And any questions? Gabriel.
No, I was
waving
waving
goodbye.
you.
Okay.
Goodbye, Amy. Thank you.
Okay, obrigada, Mana.
Obrigada. Até logo.
Yep.
Vinaka.
See you.
Session